Broadcasting from the Faith Bunker in a secret location, Sheep Below Ministries presents The Bunker Brothers.
We are Christian men, fathers, and husbands, but we are also former correctional officers. Just like everyone who has ever been in the first responder world, you know that it can change your view on everything.
A while back, we decided to dig into our Christianity, its people, theology, apologetics, and history. We try to do this with humor, honesty, and respect. Now, we want to include you in our conversation. I'm Daniel Audette.
And I'm Andrew Graham. And together we are
The Bunker Brothers. All right, Graham.
Yes, sir.
It's time, man. It's time.
It's time.
Yeah, it's Bunker Brothers again.
Okay.
Yeah. And here we are, Facebook Live. And who do we have tonight with us?
We have Jay Turner from Dive 21 Studios.
Jay Turner?
A return guest.
This is our first time.
No, this is Joe down at Joe's Pool Shack.
Oh, Joe's
They
Pool
call
Shack.
me
We
Eightball.
dialed the wrong number again.
You know, he cleans pools in the name of Jesus with all his heart.
Okay.
And it makes a difference every day.
Hey, as long as...
You ever seen him baptize? He holds people until they really start repenting. Holds them under. If they come up cussing, he puts them back down because it didn't take. Yeah, that's true. Jay Turner, man, we're so glad to have you back with us.
Oh.
It's good to be back.
You have actually started something amazing. You're the first return guest.
Holy moly, do I get a plaque?
You're the first person that's ever wanted to come back. So, no, that's the thing.
And we're not sure how we tricked you into it, so...
Now, since the last time that we saw Jay Turner, what happened? This is your part to say something.
We filmed Legacy River and moved into post-production.
Wow, post-production sounds so cool.
It sounds like a lot of
It's
work.
not very glamorous. It's mainly consists of about 82 Red Bulls and sweatpants and not doing laundry and being in the same clothes for 3 days straight.
Hey, that sounds like every day for me when I'm not at work, my friend.
Oh, well, actually, the most important thing is I got engaged
What?
over the last
Really?
time. Yep.
Engaged.
Yes.
I'm sure she's rethinking that, considering the no shower and sweatpants for 3 days.
Wow, if she can love you post-production, then she can love you forever.
That was my goal. She saw it through. So
Well, congratulations, man. I mean, have you guys been able to set times, or are you like the rapture
No,
can happen
no,
any
one
old
step
time?
at a time, brother. One step at a time.
Oh, one step. I was just gonna say, is it going to be like the rapture? Only God knows. You know, but it'll happen. No, we're really happy about that.
That's very
wonderful,
cool, man.
No,
Congratulations.
she's a great Christian woman, and
Well,
she's
we
got
won't
an
hold that
amazing
against her,
story.
man.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really special. Everything kind of fell into place with her, and that's a big story in itself. But
That is awesome.
how we met was well, she's actually very important to Legacy River, actually, and a lot of people don't know this, and I think she deserves the recognition. If it was not for her, which may be a very definitive statement, but if it wasn't for her, this would have never been happening. We wouldn't even be talking.
Wow.
Because when we met, I wasn't so sure that I was ever going to make movies again because something personal happened several years ago.
Right.
She, long story short, I went to work for a buddy of mine that owned some routes in FedEx and helped him through the Christmas season that year. And we met on my route, and it became friends. And I remember one day I was sick and still working, and she brought me a jacket and hot tea and food and things like that, and it just kind of cultivated into a relationship. And then for Christmas, the hat that the Stetson hat that you see me wearing, Legacy River, is what she bought me.
Now,
And,
if she'll buy you a hat and bring you soup, that's a keeper.
Yep. So she bought me that cowboy hat, and we took some pictures. And I said, you know what? I really have always wanted to make a Western. It can be modern or whatever, but I've always wanted to do something with cowboys and horses and stuff. And from there, it was born, and it rejuvenated my motivation and my purpose. And God was able to really kind of hit me hard with my purpose, and it's really all because of her. And she has supported me through this, and it's not been easy for her because speaking of post-production, I can be up for 2 days straight, and I miss, just going to do stuff with her.
So we want to remind you that Valentine's Day is coming up. Just want to make sure you understand.
I'm not delivering to the mountains, though.
We condone it because, after all, it is a date that remembers a saint, just like Michaelmas. But, that's legit.
I say that to say this. She is a great example of the type of partner that I think God wants for us all. And a lot of us, and myself included, try to force love and force families and stuff to happen. But if you just trust in God, He will put people in your path, literally, as what happened with us, because we were both driving different routes. And the thing about that she does is she's such a good example of what a partner should be in a Christ-like relationship or having a partner. Because I see in this field a lot of friends of mine that are in relationships or even married, and this industry takes a lot from you and a lot of time from you, and people get jealous. But when the thing that she understands is that God has called me to this purpose, that's what keeps her from really trying to get mad about, I'm not spending time with them, or, I'm staying up and I'm not watching my health, and, things like this.
Right.
And so she's a very exemplary of a partner, and I wish people could see that. And I'm just beyond words and lucky to have her. Really.
Well, the fact that you feel that way about her is a great testament.
That is.
Yeah.
So, since we were on air with you last, we went up to visit, and we got to take part in a little bit of the shooting of your movie.
Oh, that was awesome.
That you are now doing post on. Mm-hmm. And we want to thank you on air again for that opportunity, because we had a great time doing it. Even when things didn't work out exactly the way we wanted them to, it was a lot of fun.
Well, what didn't work out, Graham?
Yeah, what do you speak of?
Yeah, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying?
That must have been a dream I had. My apologies.
Must have been a dream. There was some gasoline involved.
Are you talking about the truck fire scene when we tried to set the truck on fire and it would not light?
We were there.
It lit a couple of times. It just didn't go quite as well as we wanted it to.
There was a certain director / actor who kept saying, "Put more gas on it. Pour more gas on it." And it was awesome. I'm telling you, even being there and seeing the process, how meticulous it is, how painstaking it's got to be, how each detail was brought in, and all the shoots. Just was awesome to see the process, because, a lot of people just take it for granted when they're watching something, especially these days where people hack things together so quick, that no, there's a real process to it, and the people involved in it were just... Oh man, I just enjoyed meeting everybody and being there, and sitting inside Graham's warm truck for a while.
We did go hide in the pickup for a little while.
For a little while.
It got rather chilly that night.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was around 26 degrees, and we were out there for the better part of 4 hours. And,
that's right.
That happens quite a lot, and you're right. People don't understand all of the work that it takes to make it a movie. And this project is closing in on 2 years for me, but it's not like the film industry is different from me. Any kind of profession, there's more to it than that. And I think when you do your job well, you make it look easy. And, golf. I mean, we all watch, how hard is it to hit a golf ball? But no one sees the hours and hours and hours.
It's hard to hit a golf ball.
In fact, I don't even believe in it anymore. I actually tried golf, and then I realized that was, the Bible says if you can't do something by faith, it's sin. So golf is now sin for me, because I cannot golf in faith. I will lose. The balls will be all over the place. I'm stick to something I am good at, which means
He'll
pretty
find it
well
one day.
One day, I hope to find it. Playing with Legos. Maybe
And
that's.
this is an important topic though for indie filmmakers because we're and I'm speaking as a patron or from the audience perspective. We've been really spoiled with big budget films and stuff, but we forget that there are people still just as passionate, just as hardworking, and have just as good of stories that make films for next to nothing, which is what we did. But we put a lot of hard work into it, and just that alone, I think, deserves the support from people coming to watch the movie. And when they enter the doors of the theater, check your critical hat and understand that, a lot of, if you see any issues in independent film, it pretty much could have been solved with money that wasn't there. So it doesn't really fall
Valid point.
on the filmmakers. But with that truck fire scene, I think it's actually a good analogy to being a Christian.
Yeah.
And when I had, in post-production, when I came around and I started editing the scene, God and I really had a moment, and I was able to reflect on his and my relationship. That in that scene, we had put about 4 weeks of preparation into that scene with getting people there, getting the location, doing fire tests, getting the truck. With shout out to Christian Pittman for letting us burn his truck.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
A lot of things had to come together for that to happen. And when everybody was set and that moment was there and action, and you threw the Zippo on the truck and it didn't light up, and you're like, okay, that's cool. We'll try it again. And we went through 6 takes.
Yeah.
And every time that it doesn't work, you have to reset. And it's going to take about 7 minutes to reset in 28-degree weather, and you've already been out there for hours, and you put weeks and hours and so much time into it, and it doesn't work.
Right. And
in that moment, you have that decision to say, to get mad and to get frustrated, but I'm thankful that I didn't, because God gave me the...
You never lost your cool that night. You might have been the only one calm out there, but you stayed pretty calm. I was impressed by your self-control.
And the fact you went back and actually did another scene and did another burn, it just goes to show that how dedicated you are to, to bringing the most real look to the film you can, and that's impressive too. I mean, that's
all credit to God giving me the patience and the perseverance and the motivation, and really understanding the purpose behind this movie to push people to question their, the movie's all about relationships and how to treat others and having faith in God, because it's questioned throughout the film of what the character of Luke goes through, and he sometimes he's faithful and sometimes he's not. But that scene, when you watch it, it's cool to understand what really went on behind the scenes, and I think it's a testament of how we should conduct our relationships with God. That no matter how much work we put into it, it's only going to happen in God's time.
That's right. It is going to happen in God's time.
Yeah, and and this happened throughout the film. So when we came back to shoot the other stuff, we got stuff that was not originally intended and made the scene better. And it wouldn't have happened if it had worked out that night.
That's right. A valid point. Yeah. Well, Paul experienced that. You remember he one time he really, and you can say it in different ways, but he wanted to go so badly to Rome. He wrote a whole entire book to them. And put in the book, I really wish I could just get there. I really wish I could just get there. I really wish I could. So I've been wanting to go there for the longest time. And he does get to Rome. He doesn't get there the way you'd think. He doesn't get there the way he might have thought he would get there. But when he does go there, everyone has to listen to him. Right. Now, if he'd have gone to Rome in his own time, he'd have been another guy gone to Rome. But when he did get to Rome, he got to speak to everybody, and everyone had to listen to him. I mean, officials had to listen to him. Government officials had to listen to him. Graham, I'm going to knock you out. Graham, put the
It's
monitor
coming back. Just chill out. There it is.
One day I'm going to get you straight on what it means to have a monitor and monitor something. I'm having to train Graham a little bit. Yeah, but that's how it goes. Now, if he'd have gone and done it his own way, and God was withholding him from doing that, he would have had the impact he had. Because now, look at all the people around him that kept getting saved. I mean, according to historical references, they kept having most of the guards that were watching him started getting saved. It's like, well, you try to rotate a few of them out, and he's witnessing the next guys, and they're getting saved. Well, it's like, okay. And he had a lot of freedom to minister in Rome, and he was there under the care of Romans. Yeah, sure, his life ended there. But God had a purpose for him, and it was part of fulfilling his calling to be there, and to be there when God wanted him to be there, not when he wanted to be there. And so that's what happens with that. But this is indicative of God using a person with the skills and gifts that they have to do what he wants them to do. And that's why we love you, man. That's why we like you. That's why we love you. Because we love people who are using the skills that God has given them to do something that is worthwhile, number one, that is of a good report, number two, and something that's going to make a difference in someone's heart, very likely. So we're for that. Right, Graham?
Yes, sir.
Every film should be an exploration, from a filmmaker standpoint, the directors should be an exploration of the story and yourself as an artist. And if you know exactly how it's going to turn out from the beginning, then there's really no reason to do it. And I can say that the original script was 181 pages, and then unforeseen circumstances and kind of cast changes and stuff, I rewrote it to 111 pages, which the rule of thumb is each page is a minute in film. So theoretically, this film should be 110 minutes, which is an hour and 50 minutes. And this film has turned out to be 2 hours and 12 minutes. And the director's cut is about 3 hours. But I didn't want to give people Amadeus, So we've really cut a lot of stuff out. But it's just speaking as a filmmaker / Christian or Christian filmmaker, or being a Christian and then being a filmmaker, because I do think there's a difference. There's aside from the fire scene, there's been other instances where there's a monologue that the character Luke gives about, and it is very strong. And I'm so curious of how it's going to come across to people.
Yeah, can't wait to hear that.
Because there's two parts to the story. So in the monologue, he basically his wife and kid die in a house fire, and he's drinking, and the original version was he was drinking and he gave this monologue in the campfire scene with Jason, and he starts questioning God and doesn't know why he's done this, and which we've all done. But at one point at the end of the monologue, he says that he doesn't have time for God's bull crap.
Right.
And when I wrote it, when you write dialogue, it just comes out. And when it came out, I spoke to Jason about it, and I spoke to several people about it because that's how it came out. And I don't really approve of language in films, and there's only 2 cuss words in this movie, that and the D word. But it was so significant when talking to everybody and getting everybody's perspective on it. It made such sense that this is how lost Luke has become and estranged from God. And
right.
Then his brother comes back and says, I need my brother back. I need the man that loved God. And we wanted to make it so relatable, but this monologue preyed on me for about 6 months before we were supposed to shoot it.
Right.
Because it's so, I think it has the power to be so, powerful.
But isn't that the point? Isn't it the point is is to if you have a character and you're going to show the struggle they're going through, isn't that the point to make make the character, the audience, be able to try to feel what this guy is feeling, and or have an audience member that goes, yeah, I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be there. Hey,
exactly, to make that connection.
Right.
And we don't, the whole thing that when I found out that my purpose was to make, faith-based films, or films that resounded around Scripture and God, I never, from the first moment, I didn't want to be cookie cutter. I didn't want to be preaching to the choir. I didn't want to sugarcoat it.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't think you got to worry about that.
So that's the emphasis of that monologue was one of the most integral parts of the film to me.
Yes.
That I was worried about.
Right.
The night that we were supposed to shoot it, we got everything set up, and it was on me to deliver the monologue, and I got about 10 seconds into it and yelled cut and said, we're not doing it right now. I'm not feeling it. It's not there. It's not where I'm not where I need to be to deliver this like it should. So we finished out we just skipped it and went to the other scenes. And then later on, it never worked out to come back and to get that. So we had to put that on a pickup day. So we actually, on the day that we went to go reshoot the second day of the truck fire at the racetrack, that's where we were going to cheat it and film it there. Well, we filmed it, and it was okay. Well, when we get back home, the entire footage of my monologue is in slow motion.
Oh, no.
Can't be used.
No.
And at this point, I was depleted, because, I mean, it's just it's so much to go through
yes.
film that I was at my wit's end. I was like, I can't. This is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
And then I talked to my partner Ray, and I said,
we missed the camel.
I think this is God's hand in this, saying this isn't where it's supposed to be. And so we talked about it more, and we said, you know what? We don't think this monologue belongs in this scene.
Huh.
We believe that it belongs. He should be talking to his wife at her tombstone, and he's alone, and it allows him to be more emotional. And then, so that's when we went and did it, and it was just, I don't know, I feel like God came over me, and it's so powerful. And we decided that that's how we're going to open up the movie.
Fantastic. Oh, that just sounds wonderful. And that's that creativity that God puts in our lives and allows us to draw on. And he's an artist himself, right, Graham? I mean, this is the way
and
he is.
And you just have to listen to him and have faith.
Yeah. So I'd have to agree with you.
So now let's talk about how awesome we were. Guy got to play center number 4. I joke about that, really I do, but I said they're gonna.
He did enjoy the apple juice.
I've sung the song. They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me. All I gotta do is play a center and act naturally. And but we really enjoyed that, and we enjoyed being able to participate. And I'm gonna enjoy seeing my fingers somewhere in there, I think at least. And Graham, I'm sure
that's all of you.
But I got to tell you this. Now, on a sidebar, let me just say I know nothing about playing poker. So I appreciate every bit of direction that you gave. And in between takes, when we could, talk a little bit, I would look at Graham and say, Graham, there's such and such cards on the table, such and such chips on the thing. What do I do next to make it look real? And we wouldn't even be in the shot, at that moment. But I did not want to look like I was so green, because I have the most readable face in poker. I can't play it because I look like exactly like whatever's in my hand, and most of the time I don't even know what's in my hand. So it's that bad.
That reminds me.
Yeah.
I took some. What do you call it? Something comes before the word liberty. Artistic liberty with you guys.
Artistic liberty.
Okay.
So,
said by a guy who
tell you now.
Said by a guy whose job is to take artistic liberty.
Yeah.
Well,
on everything.
So there's another scene in the movie with one of the supporting characters.
Yeah.
and he's in his vehicle, and he has a secret meeting with his brother in his vehicle.
Oh yeah.
And when we were editing it, we were watching the scene. I was like, I really feel like he should be listening to music.
Ah, right.
And so we tried some music in the background, and we didn't like it. And then it hit me. He should be listening to a Bunker Brothers podcast.
What?
So I took
Are you
your
serious?
podcast. This is an Easter egg, but part of the podcast of our first podcast, and you can't hear my voice, but it's kind of the opening of what you guys talk about, and you guys are in the background.
Oh my gosh.
That's cool. Thank you.
Man, that just gets me, man. I'm gonna sit there. I miss the days of VHSs. I'd be wearing this tape out, running it back, slowing it down. That's gonna be awesome. Well, we really appreciate that. I mean, I think that would fit in the moment because that's the way I use a podcast or something I'm listening to is I put it in the background when I'm driving somewhere or being somewhere, because music. I like music, but if I put the wrong kind of music on, I drive weird.
You drive weird anyway.
Speaking of that, my mother has a car now, Graham. Totally off topic, right? And I love my sister. She got my mom a car. My mom's in her 80s, something. And I told my sister, I said, well, at least I know how my mom dies. And at least I know, she's on the highway to heaven now. That's a scary thing. But moving on, back over there with you and those Waldensians.
I don't think he was involved in that conversation at all.
What?
He was actually working that day.
Who? Him? Who?
Jay
Yeah.
was actually working while we were standing chewing on hay. And
we had a fun time.
Being in the way.
We had a fun time. Did you know that the guy that we were there on the farm, did you know he told us that there was a gun inside one of the hay bales?
Oh, no, I did not know that.
So let me tell you.
He did
so
tell
I'm
us
going
that.
to give you a reveal. What happened was he was out in the field, I guess, doing some work. And I guess his gun, one of the smaller guns, got dislodged and somehow got bailed inside one of those round bales of hay we were sitting on. He said, we'll find it. It's somewhere in there. I just was like, how ironic is that, But that was a great scene that we got to see you shooting there, and it was just so cool to see everybody working together, and all the camera angles and the lighting issues and
The airplanes flying
over and then what was the other thing? Oh, we needed light, and then there was light,
and then we needed light to go away.
I prayed though. I'm serious. I mean, I'm a person of prayer, and so I was like, oh God, we really need this guy to clear up. We need to be light. And then it got too bright because he takes me way too serious.
You keep thinking that.
He does. One time I prayed it wouldn't have rain and it snowed instead. Don't ask me to pray about the weather.
Anyway, back to the other day that we sat there and watched them. We got to be in the barroom scene, and we got to my truck headlights got to be in the truck burning scene. And then we went out to the farm that day, and we just kind of stood and got in the way.
No, we stood and stayed out of the way.
Although
if we'd have gotten in the way, this man would have moved us because this guy is dedicated. I mean, I'm telling you.
But do you remember we actually did contribute to that scene?
How was that?
Jason, do you remember what we contributed to that scene?
No. I was there.
Jason. Jay.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I was looking at Jason's name on the thing. But Jay, do you remember what we contributed to the scene on the farm?
A belt.
Close. What went in the belt?
Oh,
the bullets. That's right.
bullets!
He came and stole the bullets out of my gun that I was carrying that day.
Bunker Brothers brought the ammo, baby.
So that he would have bullets in his belt.
That's beautiful. I feel so awesome right now.
Yeah, I fired the prop master after that.
You know what? It's interesting. I
And
went.
then gave him his job back because he's also the director and the star and the.
But after that, I actually went on a website, and I mind you, I seriously went on a website, and I was looking up the price of actual prop guns. Ones are articulated just exactly. They look like the real thing, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, that's expensive too. I'm telling you, that stuff is, if you want it to look right, that's an expensive process. And so I know you guys are doing awesome, and we really enjoyed being there and seeing that. And we were on a Waldensian farm at the same time.
Yeah, we covered that on another episode. That's
great.
Yeah, it was really fun having you guys there.
Oh, well, thanks, because that's what we really want to talk about, how it's fun.
How great we were. Yeah,
how great we were. We also, while we were there, did we go on a tour? We talked about it, right?
Yeah, we went to the museum.
We went to the museum.
Yeah, we went to the Burke County Museum while we were there.
We learned more about things than we knew. Way more.
The one in Morganton?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And we had this guy that he gave us a tour. He was awesome.
He gave us such a good tour that we didn't even get to see half of it.
Yep.
Because we made it through the upstairs and we looked. They said, we got to go. We're burning a truck later. And
yeah, we did say it just like that.
He kind of looked at us funny when we said that, but yeah, we had a few minutes to kill in between the restaurant scene and going out to the racetrack, so we found something to do, and that's a very interesting little place. And of course, Daniel got to running his mouth. I know nobody can believe that.
Hey,
but
I was enjoying it, man. You know what I'm saying?
We hung out with the old guys there in Morganton for a little while.
I always hang out with the old guy.
You are the old guy.
So, now what's in store now? You've got post-production going on. Where's this all going? Where's this going? Because usually I ask, what's that? Oh, you're hitting your watch? Graham, are you hitting your watch?
I don't wear a watch.
Why are you hitting your watch, Graham?
Because you need to take a break.
Oh, no, not from, a break from the program, because this is where we're going to do the ads and stuff. Oh, boy.
That's what the monitor's for. Remember you tell me about the monitor.
You keep me online so much. You keep me on track so much. So before we go on break, remind everybody who we're talking with.
We are talking with Jay Turner from Dive 21 Studios. And I don't even have that written down, Jay. I just remember that off the top of my head.
Heck yeah.
It can be taught.
Even after I called you Jason.
Oh,
but right. Jason is watching the Facebook Live, by the way.
That's a compliment.
Fantastic. Hey everyone, my name is Daniel Audette, and I have something I need to say. I would never dream of climbing into an airplane by myself and trying to fly. And why is that? It's because I don't know how to fly an airplane. Of course, I would make a mess of it and probably crash before it even got off the ground. Something else. Has anyone ever told you that life doesn't come with an instruction manual? Of course they have, but they lied to you. Life does come with an instruction manual, but we never take the time to read it. And just like with everything else, men especially will not read the instructions. So what is this instruction manual? And what in the world has it got to do with flying an airplane? The manual is the Holy Bible, the Word of God. Men, this time we have to read the instructions, or we are definitely going to crash the plane. And it's going to hurt us and others. My advice to all the men out there is to dust off their old Bible and read the thing. Now here comes another problem. We do really good for the first few days, but after a while it becomes harder and harder to stick to it. We have family, business, recreational activities, and that just takes us away from reading God's Word. That's when it becomes important to have someone to hold you accountable. And that's why we have the Faith Bunker on Facebook and Twitter. Come join with other men who want the same thing you do. They want to be held accountable, to be prayed for, to have a sense of brotherhood, and mostly, they just want to study the Word of God. Don't get me wrong, I'm not judging anyone. I've failed in my daily readings many, many times. And that is why I'm not only a founder of Faith Bunker, but I'm also a bunker brother. We all need to help keep going with life when it gets in the way. The Bunker Brothers in the Faith Bunker want to help and want you to help them. Come on, there's nothing stopping you. We read through the Bible every year. Sometimes it's front to back reading, and sometimes it's chronological, but we're reading every page in every year. We're already going this way. All you have to do is come along. And as I once heard someone say about the Faith Bunker, Hang on, because you're in for a wild ride. Again, that's the Faith Bunker on Facebook and Twitter. And I'll see you there.
Man, that's
Jay, we're back
thing.
from the break.
Back from the break.
So we
Yeah.
were back from the break with Jay Turner from Dive 21 Studios up in Morganton, North Carolina.
And before the break, I had said, where is this all going, Jay Turner? We know why you've done it, because you've got this creativity that God's dropped in you, and it's burning a hole in your soul, and you got to get it out. And then we're like, what's going to happen next with Legacy River? Because we are so ready to watch this movie.
Well,
Aha.
well.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing a movie premiere up here in Morganton at Marquee Cinemas. The goal date is by the end of April, somewhere around May. Still waiting on booking to get back to me on that.
Awesome.
But
Well,
after
do let us
that,
know the dates, and we will try to make it up there.
Of course, and I'm going to give them your pictures so they know to charge double.
I don't blame you. Well, but we'll have tags on it.
Well,
Say the Bunker Brothers.
Yeah,
so-
we'll look like the press.
Well, Jason did tell me he was going to cover your ticket cost.
Oh, that's great of him. Isn't that great?
Since he's not here to defend himself.
I was going to say. How much do we owe him?
We have the movie premiere, but we do have international distribution attached to it. So
Wow.
once it's sent off to those guys, they're going to pitch it to a theatrical distribution, and the theatrical distributors will say if they want to pick it up for X amount of theatrical runs, or they could just say no altogether, in which I will then fight to try to broker my own theatrical run,
Right.
because I do have relationships with other theaters and stuff, and to bring it around North Carolina and Virginia and stuff like that.
Well, you need to bring it to Goldsboro.
Yeah, and then after that runs, then depending on whatever comes of the theatrical distribution, after that they're going to pitch it to Netflix. And,
Oh, wow.
That would be
hopefully
cool.
Netflix will pick it up, and then from there it could end up on Hulu. It end up in Walgreens, Walmart. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. It just depends on how much people really like the film and really believe in it, and that's where you just got to have faith in.
I haven't
God
even seen it, but we're going to start doubling down in prayer. To use a gambling reference in prayer. Anyway,
I think it
That's
could really.
blackjack, not poker.
The
Whatever.
film is.
still gambling.
The film is. I think the film has a lot of potential to really rock the faith-based world.
Yeah, man.
Of filmmaking, because it. I have had an opportunity to watch it in the theater. We go by scenes and like parts, and we go watch it in the theater before they even open to do like sound checks and just last looks and things like this. And I can tell you in theaters, it's going to be a way different experience than watching it at home, and that's why I really want to get it out to theaters, because it really is cinematic. And Braithen, who did the sound, did an amazing job on the sound, and it just really rocks you. And it's today, in today's time, not all movies, you don't have the same like cinematic experience with all movies in theaters. You could watch in the theater or watch it at home and you still get the same experience. But there are some of those films that you see in theaters that just, you are so much of a better experience, because it seems larger than life. And I think everyone that's worked on this project has really accomplished that. So if you have a chance to come see it in a theater, it's definitely worth the drive. And it's going to leave you wondering, what you would do. And it's going to create debate. It's going to create discussions. And
That's right.
I really, and then on top of that, I mean, we still have Broken Armor, that's going to be coming out, which kind of centers around, could you rob a church to save your daughter's life? And
I never robbed a church, but I did have a thing for grape juice, and we weren't allowed to have grape juice in the house because it was always being used for communion. So one time when my mom and
Please
dad,
have a point.
after communion was over, I knew where they put the grape juice from, where they dump it back out, the ones that didn't get drank, you know what I'm saying? And so I went to the back, and it was this little thing, and you squeeze it. It had a little teeny nozzle, and that's what they filled up all the communion cups with. And so I grabbed that thing, and I wheezed the communion grape juice as hard as I could in my mouth, and just sucking it down. And then my mom walked in. So yeah, I stole it from the church. She was so mad.
Jay, this is not a show. This is him all the time.
She was so mad at me, and
Matter of fact,
I had disappointed her. I just wanted some Welch's, man.
The day we drove out to the farm with them,
Just wanted
and
some
we were
Welch's.
in the back of the burnt truck.
Why can't I have the Welch grape juice?
Would you shut up?
Communion, they never give you seconds.
You'll get more next week.
I was just a kid. I didn't get no grape juice.
So we're riding in the back of the burn truck to the farm that day.
Yes.
And I believe I heard Jay make a comment about, I feel like I'm back on the podcast again.
Oh. Was that because you're such a chatterbox, Graham?
Yeah, it was me, I'm sure. I was kind of wedged in the back of that truck. I wasn't saying a whole lot.
So how did you enjoy that? You enjoyed being there too, man.
I did. I enjoyed it a lot. It was.
So you were like a kid in a candy shop the whole time, wide-eyed.
I just was enjoying the experience. It was something I've never done, so I was. All new experiences can be fun.
Most of them, unless you get a rash.
I said new experiences.
Yeah. Oh, it work?
I don't. Gosh.
So, Jay
That
Turner,
took a
we
bad
wanted to run
Sorry,
this.
Jay.
Yeah, we want to run this by you too. Graham has a little bit of an acting career.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Yeah, his church does a Last Supper, a living Last Supper, because a dead Last Supper
would be boring.
would be boring. But a living Last Supper, and who do you play?
Simon the Zealot.
You play Simon the Zealot.
I do play Simon the Zealot.
That's pretty awesome. And so we're
And
going to
I've
be
been told apparently I will be Simon the Zealot forever.
forever. Yeah, we're going to be actually interviewing some of the guys that are going to be doing that here at the church, here in the Presbyterian
First Presbyterian Church in Goldsboro.
And we're going to be interviewing them, and we really are thrilled about it because he has a whole line.
I have like 2 paragraphs.
Oh, 2 paragraphs of line.
It's a monologue, but I don't know why Jay would be interested in that. But
I think it's interesting to tell Jay. It gave me an opportunity to get a little plug for your living Last Supper. Come on, man.
Thus the beard, guys.
This is the magic. This is the magic of doing a show.
I haven't given up on shaving. I'm actually trying to grow a beard for the show.
Yeah, so
I've only got a month and a half to grow it.
It's looking kind of scruffy.
It is.
With Simon the Zealot, it's kind of scruffy.
I don't know.
Oh, well, he's looking scruffy right now. Pretty scruffy. So we're looking forward so much to see
But
this
I've got
movie.
till April.
We really are, and we're so excited to see what God's going to lay on your heart to do next.
Well, I can already tell you that
Aha! Aha! I knew it.
That was a setup, Jay.
I knew there was a God.
we have 2 stories. Well, the next project that we're really going to focus on is a documentary that we're working on getting a grant from the state about the importance of the film industry to the state of North Carolina and the impact, the local economic impact that film has on certain locations around the state. So we're working on that. But as far as movies go, there are 2 stories that we're swirling around right now that I think are even more trivial. And to give you a background on both of them, the first one is the working title right now is called Through Death.
Ooh.
And it basically centers around a Christian cameraman that he's doing an expose or he's filming a news broadcast or something somewhere, and he gets kidnapped by either Islamic extremists or like cartel members, and he's kept captive.
Nice.
And
I don't think nice is the right word for that.
Hold on.
Cool.
So, anyway, as he's being held captive, there's one person in charge of like feeding him and giving him water and things like this. But it's very extreme. It's very extreme situation. So he ends up pretty much realizes that he's not going to be able to escape and he's probably going to die there. So he starts thinking about how to escape. So what he ends up doing is leading the guy that's in charge of his care to Christ. And in this cell, he leads him to Christ. And in the moment that this guy is really crying and really coming to God, he stabs him in the throat and kills him and then escapes.
Wow.
Okay.
And when he comes
And you're
back,
going to sell this to Hallmark, right?
yeah. So
Probably
when he
not.
comes back, when he comes back from the captivity, everybody welcomes him, kind of like the Castaway thing. But when he comes back, it really centers in on him personally about dealing with PTSD and the fact that he killed a guy to escape and
Wow.
led to Christ. And it's about his relationship with God. And it's so... When I tell people this, they're like, "Oh my God!" Like,
I'll tell you that
it's something that's relatable. But
Yeah.
what would you do in that situation and those extremes? And is it right? Is it morally justified? Obviously not. But that's one story we're looking at. Now, the other story is something that's really out of my wheelhouse. That it's called Rome and the Jewel.
Wait a minute.
And-
Hold on, Jay. You just said the other story was about getting kidnapped by a terrorist and stabbing a guy in the throat.
Yeah, that's in his wheelhouse.
That's in your wheelhouse?
But outside his wheelhouse, he has a wheelhouse. What a wheelhouse!
Well, yes, because it's it's melodramatic. It's Greek drama. It's very extreme situations, bringing religion into very extreme situations. That's completely in my wheelhouse. Now, Rome and the Jewel, this is where it gets interesting. This is a sci-fi, fantasy, faith-based film.
I'm down with it, my friend. That's awesome. I love it already. Just the words.
So
You're right there with
Rome-
C.S. Lewis today, my
There
friend.
you go.
Exactly. So Rome
Welcome
and the Jewel,
back.
it steals from 4 different stories:
Mm-hmm.
Romeo and Juliet, The Matrix, Tron, and Inception. So basically,
Well, they all have so much in common.
They do actually. So basically, the idea of Rome and the Jewel is the main character Rome. It's set in post-apocalyptic world, which it could be the Rapture. It could have been nuclear missile fallout. Who knows? But it's set post-apocalyptic world, and Rome is this like biochemical engineer, scientist, incredibly smart. So what he ends up doing is he's able to create this machine that centers around a chair that you can connect to. That he's his dead wife's consciousness. Okay, he's able to upload his dead wife's consciousness into this machine, which he calls the Jewel, which is named after his late wife, Jules.
Wow.
And so the idea is that he connects to it, and he's able to go see his wife. Now, the rule of the Jewel is you can only be in there for 5 minutes, and you can only go to one location, which is set at this beach. They're like this secluded beach. And so he goes there to talk to his wife. Now, that's the setup. The conflict is that Rome is dying of something, and he's been searching for this antidote. Okay? Now, that's now the secondary conflict is that his wife, he finds the antidote, but his wife wants him to die because she's telling him that heaven is real, that God is real. But Rome is an atheist.
Oh, what?
So Rome has this decision to make. Does he save himself? Because he wants to save himself because he feels like if he dies, then he'll never see her again because he's atheist. But she's telling him to have faith, that God is real. She's seen it. Heaven is real. To have faith and to let himself die so they can be together, in heaven. And so the idea of the story is, would you die for religion or live for love?
Wow. Great conflicting stories. I'm telling you, Graham, this is the kind of stuff I live for. I mean, to be honest, one of my things that I've always been.
I thought this was what you lived for.
No. I love to read, and I love a good movie, and I love those kind of things. But sometimes, the movies that will tackle these issues are just horrible. They are, and I love science fiction. I love how science fiction has so few rules. Realistically, you can go so many places with it without damaging A lot, because there's a lot of freedom because you get to depict what you want really with it. It is the ultimate. It's the ultimate genre to me, because you can do anything in it and go anywhere in it, and you're not restricted necessarily to.
Well, that's writing. He's got to put it on the screen.
Yeah, well, that's. I'm not called to be that. He is. But those are great stories, and each one of those ones deal with different conflicts that Christians go through, and what we face, and how we deal with things. We've also, one of the things I've often said is, a martyr, and this is a conclusion I came from in the past, was that a martyr, people often describe a martyr as being someone who dies for their faith. Well, I redefine that a martyr is a person who wants to live for his faith so much he's willing to give up his life to do so. So that's kind of a little different take on a martyr. So these
instead of giving up his life, it's trading a life. You have your physical life here, then you have your life in
there
heaven.
You go.
So it's not.
So it's interesting.
It's not really what you're giving up; it's what you're transcending to.
That's right. Good point. So wow, that's some great stories coming
Jay's
out.
smarter than you.
Well, I would expect he would be. That's okay. I'm okay with that because God calls me to be me and calls Jay to be Jay. And,
but I will say
when
this,
God looks down on me, he goes, yeah, where's Jay?
Well, I will say this to say that is and this is where you have to have faith in God and in your purpose, because God gives us these stories and these abilities, but they don't happen without people coming to see Legacy River and seeing Broken Armor, because these things do, they cost money to make. And so we have direction and we have vision from, from God, but it takes patronage. It takes other people's support. We can't do this by ourselves, and
exactly.
that's where I feel like the film community, especially faith-based, is exactly that. Just because you're not the ones making the movie doesn't mean you're not a part of the process, which you are. And everybody has their role, and sometimes your role is, I'll take 2 for Legacy River, and then it falls on us to make something else to keep researching and to keep developing our faith and how we see it in our relationship with God. And that's why we want to present stories in such extreme fashion that it makes you think, what would you do? And by asking those questions, it allows you to progress and to fall deeper in love with God and to fall deeper in love with your relationship with God. And that's what it's all about. Watching movies and making movies is fun, but at the end of the day, it's about understanding God more and drawing closer to Him.
Well, you know what? I mean, I can't.
He couldn't have said it better himself.
Man, I'm talking. I feel like, well said, preacher. Well said. Well said.
You just call him preacher.
Well, that's the thing is you get to bring forward a sermon, except it's all in 3 dimensions, and it explores all the things. I'm telling you that is if Jesus had a film crew, he'd have made films. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't have that back then, but he loved to tell stories and get people's attention.
We talked about that on the first one. Yeah. If that's what I've always tried to ask myself, if Jesus was a filmmaker, what would he make? And
I think that's a very legitimate question. He would make some pretty crazy stories. Like he's told, he related stories, right? And one of the ones he tried to get across what happened, he told about the rich man and Lazarus, right? And that was his mini movie. He made a little scene, and so let me tell you this story. Let me tell you what happens. And he told this in a lot of detail. And it's like he's trying to get the audience to carry forward and hear this message and see this image. And he's being very colorful with it. He's telling what's going on. You can feel it. The guy looks up in agony. Wow, it's like he knows these words he's using. They're a tremendous impact on the people listening to it. And then how, he's like, well, send me back. And the rich man's like, well, send me back. He's like, no, they've got the prophets and they've already got the law. And if you went back, they wouldn't listen anyway. That's some cold storytelling, man.
Well, that reminds me. I'm gonna shed some light on Jason Webb for a second because
shed some light, man.
Jason, this is his first time ever acting. Everybody is trained actors on this film. They have careers. and Jason has never done anything. And how he became a part of the story is a testimony itself. But long story short, he plays my brother in the movie, and we had such great chemistry, and he brought so much to the character of Walter that there's a scene, and I'll come full circle. There's a scene where there's dialogue, scripted dialogue between Luke and Walter about what to do with the ranch. And Luke is saying that there's something in his gut telling him that he feels like it's God's voice telling him not to sell the ranch for some reason, and that they have to have faith. And then Walter's point of view is saying, no, we need to sell the ranch and start something new. Well, there was so much chemistry in this scene that we started ad-libbing and just going off script. And Jason starts talking about the parable of the 10 talents.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I just want to give credit to Jason because I didn't write that, but Jason is so wrapped up in God that God is able to use Jason, who's not a trained actor, to come across, to speak through him on film, which is technically fiction, to give a parable that is relatable to everyone and at the same time perfect and in tune with the story of the movie. And that's just one more thing that God has really shown himself in the movie. And as a director / actor in the scene, when he starts going off script, in my mind I'm going, well, that's not in the script. Do I cut right now and say, what are you doing? Or do I just let it go? And in that moment,
you get him
I'm
in
like,
post-production.
who am I to stand in front of that? Because it's incredible. It gives me goosebumps. I'm directing and acting in the scene, but also at the same time, I'm witnessing God speak to me and to everyone else through my purpose. And it was incredible. And I really haven't spoken to Jason about my experience in that scene, but it's amazing.
I can't say that I'm surprised. Knowing Jason, and I'm sure you know him better than we do, but knowing him as well as we do, I'm not surprised at all. That just sounds like Jason to me.
Well, if you go one step even further and how he was never even thought about being in this movie and how he came to be about it, at that moment, you just have this whole realization of Jason is supposed to be there because that's what God wanted.
See, I told you, Daniel, God can do anything.
Huh? Yeah, God can do it.
If he can use these two jokers, he can do anything. And I'll let you guess where I'm pointing when I said these two jokers.
Me and you, Graham. Me and you. But you know what? That is a very good point, Graham. If God can use you, I believe there's hope for anyone. And I feel that if God would let me into heaven, if God would save me, then no one's safe. I'm just telling you.
Jay, where that came from was we were having a discussion the other night about these folks that say you can only use one Bible translation, or you have to dress a certain way, or you have to do a certain thing, or you're not really saved. And my whole argument against all of it was, so you're telling me there's something God can't do? Well, if he can use an untrained actor on the spur of the moment like that, not knocking Jason, but Jason's not an actor. He's real good at what he does, but we didn't think acting was what he did. But apparently, in God's hands, even Jason can get it right. So,
yeah, he did. He did seem like he fit really well with that. And I never really got to hear the origin story on why Jason Webb got involved. So if you want to elucidate that,
Jason helped us. We needed a location to host auditions, and he was able to get us into his church at Summit. Oh. And so he unlocked the doors, turned on the lights, and we had an amazing turnout for auditions, and we're closing in. So we brought people in groups, okay? And in between, towards the end of the night, Jason comes back, and he's sitting in the room. He's like, how much longer are we going to be and stuff like that. And so blah, blah, blah. And then we were in between groups, and I said, why don't you get up there and read this character or whatever, just for entertain me, man, like, because I'm bored.
Yeah.
And so Jason's like, really? I'm like, yeah, just go out there, man. It'll be fun. And so he goes up there and just blows the doors off. And then our partner Mike comes back, and one of the other producers comes back, and we read through the other auditioners, or whatever you call them, auditionees. And I tell Mike, I'm like, look, you need to watch Jason. And so we watch Jason. He gives another incredible performance. And after that, when we got back into casting and talking about casting, we were watching the videos and stuff, and we're like, Jason, I think is just, I know it sounds crazy, but I think he's Walter. Like, he's that role. And we actually had other people in mind for Walter, and because we casted Jason, we moved some stuff around. So,
well, he looked like he really fit. I don't know all the story to the movie, but just the few occasions where I saw him there, it just really seemed like that he fit it. He's got that cool hand Luke kind of ability. And,
he does. And after we casted him, Jason and I, and before I told him, I said, it's going to be a lot of work. You really have to do this and this and this development. And he was on board all the way. And we started, he was so dedicated that we started walking in the morning for about an hour around this park around his house, and just talking about the character for months on end. And then I would be on phone calls with other actors talking about their character and character development and costumes and going over lines and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times different actors would be like, yeah, I talked to Jason about this. I'm like, what? You talked to Jason? Yeah, Jason called me. He was asking about what would you do here, and he was trying to gain knowledge and stuff, and he took it really seriously, and it's going to come across in the movie.
Yes, awesome.
And after this, I told him, man, you need to get an agent, man. Like, I mean, really?
Right?
No. I'm like, yeah, no. And that's the thing. Everybody has the ability to act. It's just, can you get over the fact of the camera and everyone staring at you,
Right,
And
right.
there's one scene in there, I can't give it away, but there's one scene in there that was highly emotional and very fierce. And after we rolled on his close-up of the monologue, cut, everybody was speechless.
Wow.
And then the ride home that night, the sound engineer told me, he's like, that's probably one of the best performances I've ever seen live. And,
Wow.
Again, so it's a testament to everything falls into place. And I can sit here and talk for hours about how Legacy River came to be, but there's no way that I can tell you that story without mentioning God 1,000 times.
That's right.
It's,
that's wonderful. Well, we really support that so much, and hey, if you got to mention God 1,000 times, that's all right. I mean, that He's worth it, and that's a wonderful thing. I've often said, like, I know my worth. I know where I'm at, but I worship God not because of my worth, but because of His, and He just really knows what He's doing. I mean, honestly, I've never known anybody as smart as Him, and He really does know what He's doing. And when we trust Him, things happen that normally wouldn't happen.
You just said that like you had come across some great revelation.
I think the best and most
that
great
God
revelations.
was smarter than you.
I'm telling you, the most great revelations are always the simplest ones, because honestly, when a man can realize that he honestly can trust God, God actually knows what He's doing, that's a big deal. And especially for men, who are used to doing their own thing and thinking their own things through, and then what happens with most of that. If it wasn't for God's wisdom and letting a little bit of light in on it, we'd be pretty bad.
Yeah.
But God's been really good to us, and He's been giving us our opportunity to talk and to speak up and to get to witness and to tell folks about wonderful people, which you are one of those wonderful people, Jay Turner. And we want to make sure people know where they can go look at information concerning Dive 21 Studios.
Yep, just go to our Facebook page at Dive 21 Studios, and we will be posting all the updates, where you can watch it, where it's going to be. That's just the best way to do it. And plus, we also have a community outreach. We're always doing charity events and stuff. We haven't been doing them for the past 3 months because we've been in, finishing up the movie in post-production. But
Right.
We've got a lot of events that we're going to be coming up with that you can be a part of.
Yes.
We're going to be we just got a lot of stuff in the works to where you can be involved, and we're going to be coming out with some merch and stuff. And that's the thing. Everything that we do is centered around giving back to people or raising awareness about somebody's situation and stuff like that.
Right.
So,
I remember you had that theme last time, so it's going to go back into something good, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, and that reminds me of another thing. I'm joining the volunteer fire department up here. So,
What in the world? Hey,
He's
doesn't
one
need
of us now.
He doesn't need another challenge. I think there's gonna be a movie script come out of this experience.
Yeah. They've already made
I've
backdraft.
always wanted to do it.
I
My
wonder
dad is
if
a
this
fire
could be
chief.
because he kept trying to burn a truck and it just got him into it again. When they say you're going to become a fireman, you're supposed to put the fires out, not start them. Just let you know, dude. Maybe he didn't know that. I wanted to be a fireman because I thought people burnt stuff. That's what you did. You're a fireman.
I've always wanted to do it. It's just kind of the right time. So, but we're going to be doing some, charity events to raise some money for some volunteer fire departments and things
Awesome.
like that. So, again, the best thing to do is just go like our Facebook page and stay up to date. And we're going to try to bring a premiere to Charlotte, and
Right.
we've got some local celebrities that might be coming, but it just depends on, because the thing is, we can't go show it in all these theaters because then theatrical distribution won't want a part of it. So
Right.
it's just a process. So
Sure.
I
Well,
can't really say for sure.
You gotta
But,
let the doors open up that God wants to open up and see where He wants to take it and what He wants to do. And but I know we're really following it, looking forward to seeing what's going on. We're looking forward to seeing the movie. We're looking forward to sharing it with our families. We're looking forward to sharing it with some of our friends out west. We've got We've got a church out there, which you might have heard. We talked to Brian Smith of the First Heavy
Metal Church of Christ.
And I mean, there's a church I know right there that would love a movie like you're making, man. I mean, that's just how it is. And they're the kind of people that are on the edge and looking for things that will be truthful and honest about the experience and Christianity. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And I love how you're telling the truth and the more grittier reality, because that's what the Word of God is all about. I mean, the Word of God is one of the greatest pieces of drama and literature you can find around.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it absolutely tells the 100% truth about.
And it's pretty gritty in some of his stories.
Very gritty, especially in some of the stories that you like Ehud.
Actually, I was thinking about the
Picking
story
on
of
you.
Deborah.
I was picking on you for the story of Ehud,
I know.
left-handed judge who basically got a guy and killed him. Killed a king. It's a great story, really is. Great. You should make a movie about it. Moving on. But I think it's really fantastic, and we
Well, I did
approve.
also want to say that we're going to be opening up, once Legacy's done, we're going to be opening up a part of Dive 21 to where we can come speak at some churches.
Wow,
About,
great.
Where Jason and I and Mike and Ray, we're trying to put together not a sermon, but basically just a speech about following your dreams. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about from full circle about the Dawn Wall, what we were talking about off, that your dream doesn't have to be filmmaking. It doesn't have to be acting or even or like anything like in the public eye. It could just be charitable work. It could be making quilts. I mean, whatever it is, but that defining moment of having faith and stepping off of that, well, actually, to give a better analogy, what you're talking about, just letting God take over, is imagine that you're in an airplane and that you've been trained, you're a trained pilot, you've got so many logged hours and stuff, and then beside, Manny, please be quiet, buddy. So imagine you're in this airplane and all of a sudden God appears in the seat beside you and he says, let me take over. And you have to decide right there what, you know, and it's about, you have this, the airplane represents your dream. And do you let God take over to further his kingdom, or do you keep your hand on the wheel because you want the glory? And so we're going to be putting together a kind of like more of a motivational speech about what it takes to really let go and let God, but also the struggles, and that it's okay to feel certain things, and it's okay to question certain things. And so we are going to be opening up a thing where churches can have us come speak and maybe show a couple of clips from both of our films and things like that. So I do want to put that out there, that if any churches are interested in that, then we'd be willing to just message us on Facebook, and we'll be willing to take that discussion further.
Man, I love that idea. I love it. We look, Graham and I are all the time try to encourage people, seriously, aren't we, man, to find their passion, and that what Christ would have them do, find their passion, and then do it passionately for Christ. And and you know, we find this to be a very common thread, that a lot of people have gifts and callings and abilities that honestly they'll tell you, well, I don't know how I could use that for God. And I'm like, well,
exactly, and that's the thing. When you think
of
about
course
it,
you can.
That's when you think about it, how many speakers do we really have that speak to that? Because as a Christian, most of the time, I feel like you see people out there doing their dream and pursuing their passion for God, but where's that bridge, that connect to the people that come back and tell you how they did it and speak to you one-on-one or in person?
Right.
And I think that that's also one of the charges that God has given me, because he knows that I'm passionate about. I'm actually a very shy person, but I'm very passionate about using these gifts and public speaking too. To people to inspire, not for me to inspire, but for God to put me there to speak to me, to give them inspiration and to give them that motivation, you know, to do that and to pursue it, but also to talk about the challenges too. And because not everything is golden, you know, rainbows and stuff. There are trials and tribulations, and we want to hear, if it's me in sitting in the pew or wherever it is, I want to hear about how they got through their struggles, and I want to hear about their struggles. I want to hear about the times where they lost faith in God and how they got it back. You know, because that stuff is just equally as important as, you know, you can do it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And yeah, I was sitting here listening to you, and that's one of the things that people tend to gloss over, is that you'll hear a speaker and they'll say, I did this, and then it all collapsed, and they'll spend about 32 seconds on everything fell apart in my life. But this, and this happened. And I'm like you, I want to hear how everything fell apart. Don't tell me that, you know, it all fell apart and then not tell me how it fell apart. You know, what did you do to get over it? Because we're all going to have things in life that fall apart on us. You know, you're going to lose that dream job that you thought you had, or you're going to, you know, lose that family member that you didn't think you could live without, or, you know, whatever it is. And to me, that's the interesting part of the story, is when it all fell apart, what did you do about it?
Exactly.
Couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, didn't say it better than myself.
You probably could have.
No, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, one time talking about kind of being discouraged and being in a place where you are losing hope and losing faith, you know. And I was there one time. I was in a room at bad times, man. We all go through bad times. And I was sitting there in my room, and I remember saying out loud, I was serious. I said, God, you know, it's too bad that this is going to sound terrible, right? Well, that's the truth. Sometimes does sound that way, doesn't it? So judge me. And but I said, God, it's too bad that you're not a real person, because right now I really could use a hug. It sounds lame coming from a man. I need a hug. But that's what I said. And I know that that's blasphemous. That's very blasphemous. But that's how I felt. Right then, I needed someone who was real and was a real person. I needed someone who was actually there with me. And right in that moment, rather than drop anvils on my head like all the Looney Tunes would do, God instead surrounded me on every side of my entire physical being, every side, with a hug, an embrace, a squeeze that happened on every side. Not mean, not scary, nothing. And I sat there and I started crying, because God, the divine God, gave me his presence and was there. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget God doing that for me in spite of me saying he wasn't a person. And I sat there crying, and I said, God, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that I said that you're not a person. I said, I know you're a person. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But you have those moments in life. They're so real. They're so raw. That's a milder one. But, what are you going to do in that kind of situation? And what's God going to do with that? And that's what you're exploring with your stories, with your movies and your angles with that. That's what you're exploring, the raw details people going through. And as you're saying, we're looking at empowering people to follow the passions that they have, that God has given them, whatever that passion may be. And that's what Sheep Below Ministries, what Graham and I are involved with. That's what we're all about. We're about that. And what happens here is people who, if they have a certain thing they feel called to do, well, how do you want to use that for God? Because, hey, we'll totally help you. We'll totally lock in with you. How do you want to do that? You want to do that? You feel like you can do that and use that as something that God can witness with? Let's do that. And so that's what A Lost Sheep Below is all about, because we're trying to tell people that what it means to minister is different than what we've been told. It's different than what we think. Ministry is about being a servant of God and doing what He's called us to do and letting Him bless through whatever it may be. And that's the truth. That's real ministry. And it happens to be some people are gifted in certain ways, teach and to preach. Some people to do other things. But all people have some sort of gift, and we can minister through those things. Ministry is being stewards of what God's given to you. So, but we're going to awesomely thank you for being on the show tonight. We thank you so much for your time, Graham.
Yes.
Thank him for his time.
Thank you for your time, Jay. No, seriously. We are very honored that you decided to have a return visit.
It's always great to discuss what God's been doing in anybody's life and fellowship, and But
we don't expect anybody to come back for a second time of abuse.
Yeah, if he comes back for a third one, then this is just totally blind faith.
But
no.
Jay,
we've got other stuff to talk about. Hopefully, we can work something out to where you guys can do some of the interviews for the actors and stuff like that.
Love
get you
it
on the DVD. So.
Woo, that would be
cool.
Crazy.
So, Jay Turner with Dive 21 Studios. You can find him on Facebook. He said that's where they're posting everything, just like everybody else in existence now, including us. So, we've had a great time, Jay. Thank you for calling back in, and putting up with us for over an hour again. And
on the contrary,
buddy, we will be praying for you. And keep us informed of what's going on, because we do want to be a part of it, as small a part as we can be, but we do want to be a part of it.
Every link in the chain is the same size and equally important.
That's almost true. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time, man. God bless you, what you're doing, and let's make some more movies. Let's see what God has for you, and I just can't wait. It's going to be so cool. All right, man. Have a good night. Good night to you, sir.
Goodbye, buddy.
Bye. Say good night, Graham.
Good night, Graham.
So we're kind of sitting here now, and we have had a really great time with Jay Turner. I really do like him a lot, and I'm definitely envious. Maybe that's a sin, but I love to see him doing what he's doing.
I do too, and I hope that we do continue to get to be a part of it, because it's been really fun so far. And it's just really cool how the people that we've talked to have connected us with other people. That part of it has just blown me away. Because
I think so too, and I think that's God.
Well, of course it's God.
Yeah.
I wasn't questioning that.
Yeah.
But it's just fun to watch the connections be made, and hopefully someday we can do the same for somebody else.
I mean, we can always dream. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It seems like everybody we talk to sends us to somebody else to talk to. And
well, it's great. It's great to talk to people and get the word of God out and talk about what Christ has done, what God has done, but what people are doing. Because, if it wasn't for the people that God is calling to do ministries or calling to do something, to go do something, that I'm really, that's how it works. God's empowering people to do something. And I always tell people to go find your to-do.
Well, what are we to doing?
Go find your to-do. Whatever God wants you to do, go find that to-do.
Well, what are we to
doing? And go
doing?
to do it. Did you know if you have a to-do list?
He has not heard my question yet.
If you have a to-do list, Graham, and you change one one vowel, you have a ta-da list. Well, that's really bad.
It's accurate, but
Yeah.
So what are we to doing right now?
What
is the new thing for us?
Well, you tell me, because I can never remember.
How could you forget? So we are in the process of getting our tax stuff handled
Wow.
so that we will officially be an entity as far as the government is concerned.
Sheepalo Ministries is
So-
becoming a real. It's moving into becoming a real corporate entity with a real, as a real nonprofit, and we're going forward with that. We've got partners coming on with us with Jim Creech, who's coming in with
do.
us.
That's
who's been
where
one of
I
our-
wanted to get with this.
I went there, man.
I wanted to say hello for the first time officially to Mr.
Jim
Jim
Creech.
Creech.
He'll be joining us on some of our broadcasts and some of our podcasts to come in and say hi. He is fantastic, and yes, he loves Jesus Christ, and that has to be how it is. Sorry.
That is a fact.
Yeah,
But we
down with that.
have asked Jim to join the management team and be part of the officers group that is going to get this thing incorporated.
Fantastic.
And
And then we're looking at getting some actual recording studio, a recording studio
yeah, we're
area
working
that
on
is
getting some office space.
dedicated so we can actually go and get away from it all.
And we won't have to sit in the library at the church anymore. We'll actually have an office.
Oh, we want to thank your
Oh,
church, First
no, I'm
Presbyterian,
not knocking
for
it.
letting us use the library. It's such a great place to sit down, and the books are all absorbing all that extra bouncy sounds that rooms
that annoys
have.
you.
Because I really can't stand audio that's
But
bad.
we are working on the church with, using some space that they're not using
Yeah.
right now as office space and recording space.
That's right.
So it's come a long way from, hey buddy, let's read the Bible together.
Sure is. Speaking of reading the Bible and hey buddy, reading the Bible, we've got some plans. We want to drop that, tip that little. Want to give some spoilers?
I don't know if we're ready for that one yet.
We have had a great time here tonight, just with our friend Jay Turner, looking at these great films and movies that he's working on that are going to touch the hearts and lives of those around you. Watch for these movies coming out and support Dive 21 Studios. And
In any way you can.
In any way you can. Support these kind of things, because this is going to make a difference in people's lives. It's going to open conversations you want to have with your friends and family. And we want to have those conversations because you know what? We want everyone to know that the good news of Jesus Christ and know that He's really done something for them that's tremendous. And we sometimes just have to have an open door, something that just gives that crack that lets a person consider something from another angle. And that crack might be you.
Me?
Yeah, you may be the crack that someone needs. See how that works? Don't you like me backhanding at that? I love it.
Wow.
All right, Graham.
Okay.
Let's say bye, Graham.
Goodbye, Graham.
No.
Good night, guys.
Good night.